The imperial edict for the arranged marriage had arrived. My legitimate elder sister sighed heavily. Seeing this, I knew that she had also been reincarnated. In the previous life, she happily boarded the bridal sedan and became the noble princess consort of the prince regent. Later, however, she became melancholy and unhappy and passed away before she turned 30. Curious, I asked, was the prince regent not a good match? What's good about him? She spat in frustration. He's like a silver-tipped spear, all show and no use. Saying that, she picked up a handkerchief and started crying again. His inability is none of our business, right? I comforted her. Her face flushed red with embarrassment, and she told me that since I had never been married, I simply would not understand. How could I not understand? In my past life, I was also married. In order to show his appreciation for talent, my father, relying on his status as prime minister, forcibly betrothed me, a concubine's daughter, to the current top scholar, Zhang Reng. Although Zhang Reng was good-looking, he was self-righteous and stubborn, and he didn't do well in the political arena. My father looked down on me as a concubine's daughter and could not be bothered to help him. Zhang Reng and I were incompatible, constantly at odds with each other. Our days were filled with endless quarrels. Later, he simply took in a concubine, had 2 children with her within 3 years, and deliberately displayed his displeasure toward me. My legitimate sister grabbed my hand, her eyes filled with expectation. The imperial edict cannot be defied. Since you do not like Zhang Reng, why not let me marry him instead? You can take my place as the princess consort of the prince regent. Would that be all right? My sister had a gentle temperament. If she were to marry the prince regent as she did in my past life, she would likely still meet the same tragic fate, crying herself to sleep every night and wasting away in sorrow. How could I watch her walk into the fire pit once again? Without hesitation, I agreed. All right. My birth mother came from a lowly background and passed away when I was still a child. My father's mind was entirely focused on officialdom, and my stepmother disliked me, telling me not to appear under her nose. Only my legitimate sister was kind to me. She would give me her worn clothes, speak up for me when I was punished, and scold the maids and servants who bullied me. But most of the time, she was too preoccupied to care for me. She had to study music, chess, calligraphy, poetry, and etiquette, striving to become a perfect noble lady. As for me, as long as I had food to eat, clothes to wear, and no one mistreated me, I was content. I did not care whether a man loved me or even wanted to touch me. And so, my sister and I were married on the same day. Under the cover of our bridal veils, we stepped into each other's wedding sedan chairs. From that moment on, we exchanged names. I became Shinxiu. She became Shenwan Xing. The moonlight shone like refined silver, and the red candles burned brightly. The Prince Regent's residence was filled with a festive atmosphere. I was hungry, so I dug out some red dates, longan, and peanuts from beneath the bedding and started munching away. By the time the Prince Regent entered, I had already hidden the leftover shells and was sitting properly on the wedding bed, maintaining a dignified posture. When the bridal veil was lifted, I looked at the man before me with anticipation. His name was Gu Jingyan. He was the young emperor's biological uncle and would be responsible for providing me with food and shelter in the future. A face as refined as jade, a tall and upright figure, and a hidden ailment. Absolutely perfect. The moment he saw me, Gu Jingyan's expression was filled with shock, and he blurted out, "It's you." I was surprised. "Has your highness met me before?" "No." A flicker of unreadable emotion flashed through Gu Jingyan's eyes, his lips curving into a faint, ambiguous smile. That smile suddenly made me uneasy, as if I had been exposed. But I was absolutely certain he had never seen me or my sister before. Gu Jingyan sat beside me on the bed, his jade-white, slender hand slowly reaching out, lightly brushing against my cheek. It seemed like he was about to touch me. I sat there stiffly, my whole body tense with vigilance. Before getting married, my sister and I had shared our experiences from our past lives. She told me that Gu Jingyan was cold-hearted and indifferent, spoke little, and had no interest in women. She even bluntly told my elder sister, "I am impotent. So you do not need to waste your thoughts on this anymore." Thinking of this, I felt a little more at ease. Men never like admitting their flaws right away. They always have to put on a show first. Then, in the end, he would pretend to have no interest in me so he could save face. I was curious to see just how long he could keep up the act. Gu Jingyan's fingertips slowly landed on my lips, then lightly wiped across them. He stared at his finger, clicked his tongue twice, and smiled. On his finger was a smear of my bright red lip rouge, along with a thin, pink peanut skin. I was desperate. "Was it tasty?" he asked. Feeling utterly embarrassed, I decided to just go all in. Lifting the blanket, I showed him. If it wasn't good, would I have eaten this much? Gu Jingyan held back a laugh, his breath warm against my ear, though his tone carried not a hint of sincerity. Peanuts symbolize an early birth of noble sons. It seems my princess consort is already eager to give me children. My gaze instinctively drifted downward to a certain part of his body, filled with sympathy. He was still pretending. But in the next instant, he pushed me onto the bed. His firm, powerful body pressed down, blocking out most of the light. The candle flames flickered, illuminating nothing but a sea of festive red. He yanked at my belt with a rough motion, his demeanor aggressive, as if he was truly about to devour me whole. He was actually serious. Terrified, I shrieked, I'm not feeling well, Your Highness, please spare me." His mischievous hand finally paused. Gu Jingyan remained hovering over me, gazing leisurely into my eyes. "Princess consort, in the future, if you are not feeling well, you must let me know in advance." "Why, yes. I would definitely be unwell often in the future." After Gu Jingyan left, I finally came to my senses. He deliberately forced me to beg for mercy so that he could leave with a justified excuse. A cunning man. I had a great sleep, and the next day, I followed him into the palace, where the young emperor politely addressed me as Aunt. At that moment, I realized just how impressive my status was. Good days were ahead. The scenery at the Prince Regent's residence was stunning, with pavilions and terraces blending harmoniously. After eating and drinking my fill, I wove flowers from the back garden into a wreath and placed it on my head. Spinning, jumping, admiring myself, and humming little tunes. When I got tired, I soaked a large watermelon in the pond at the back garden and lay in a reclining chair under the shade to cool off. Xiao Chui fanned me with a cattail leaf fan, nagging me in exasperation. "The prince did not perform the wedding ritual with you on your wedding night, yet you still have the mood to play." I spread my hands and said indifferently, "Not my fault, it was him who did not want to do anything." Xiao Chui was my elder sister's maid and never had much respect for me. When arranging the marriage swap, my elder sister was worried that our parents would notice something amiss, so she had Xiao Chui stay by my side. To be honest, I was more worried about my elder sister. Zheng Rang was not a bad person, but he had all the annoying habits of a scholar. I remembered that in my past life, on my wedding night, I had waited in the bridal chamber for too long. Hunger got the best of me, so I rummaged under the bedding and found some nuts to eat. When Zheng Rang entered the room, he happened to catch me mid-bite, grinning as I cracked open a peanut. His expression changed instantly, as if he had been gravely insulted. Still, he held back his anger and, in a scholarly manner, tried to reason with me. "Miss Shin, today is our wedding day. It should be I, as your husband, who lifts your bridal veil. You did not wait for me and removed it yourself. Have I done something wrong to make you dissatisfied?" I reasoned back with him. "I was just hungry." "You are overthinking it. If it bothers you that much, I can put it back on, and you can lift it again." Zheng Rang was indignant. Marriage is a solemn affair. Every ritual must be followed precisely. Your careless and perfunctory attitude clearly shows that you do not respect me. I lost my temper and threw the peanut shells onto the floor, snapping. "It was just some food. You had your fill in the front hall, but I have not eaten all day. If I do not eat now, I will have to starve until tomorrow morning. That is not a pleasant experience." Zhang Rang, I was only eating a few nuts, not breaking some sacred law. Do you really have to make such a big deal out of it? His face turned red with anger. His hand trembled as he pointed at me, his voice filled with disappointment. I thought the daughters of noble families were well-mannered. I never expected you. He stammered on that you for ages. I stuck out my tongue and made a face at him. He turned pale with rage and stormed out on the spot. After that, there was never a moment of peace between us. He constantly nitpicked at every little thing I did, never ceasing to lecture me on my faults. In the end, he smashed bowls and plates, while I tore up his freshly written poems. Neither of us let the other have a moment of peace. Thankfully, in this life, I was finally free of him. I figured it was about time, so I took out the watermelon that had been chilled in the water. The round, big watermelon was split in half with a crack, and I used a spoon to eat it. It was so comfortable. Do you want some? I handed the other half to Xiao Chui. She rolled her eyes. What's with that attitude? I am the Princess Regent now. That position was supposed to be the young Mrs. Tears welled up in Xiao Chui's eyes. I don't understand what Miss was thinking. She had the perfect chance to be the Princess Regent, but instead, she insisted on switching with you and marrying that broke top scholar. Hugging my half of the watermelon, I sighed lazily. You just don't get it. She has been pampered all her life, never had to worry about anything. Now, she wants to chase after some grand, passionate love story. What was that saying again? Oh, right, when people are well-fed and warm, they start thinking about love. But I'm different. I can't even guarantee food and clothing, so where would I find the energy to think about love? I married into this family just to have a meal to eat. I gestured for her to come closer, lowering my voice as if sharing a big secret. Xiao Chui's eyes widened. What? The Prince Regent is impotent. I jumped up and clamped my hand over her mouth. Why are you shouting so loud? Are you stupid? She struggled, her face turning pale from lack of air. The Prince Regent being impotent is a good thing. Saves me the trouble of serving him, understand? I wasn't sure if she actually understood, as she kept flailing her arms and making muffled noises. This girl had such a weak mentality, she couldn't even handle a little surprise. I shook my head helplessly and let go of her. Then I turned around, only to find Gu Jingyan sitting in the reclining chair I had just been in, eating watermelon with great enthusiasm. The watermelon is quite good, he praised sincerely. So, the reason why Xiao Chui was making muffled noises just now was because she saw Gu Jingyan behind me. My legs instantly went weak. I did not know what I tripped over, but I lost control and fell forward. He extended his long arm, wrapping it around my slender waist, letting me half-lie in his embrace. Gu Jingyan was dressed in a deep purple brocade robe, his long hair gathered with a jade crown, exuding an air of undeniable nobility. Even from the angle of his jawline, his face was flawless, without a single imperfection. I did not even dare to breathe too loudly. Like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be sliced. Seeing the situation turn unfavorable, Xiao Chui had already slipped away. Gu Jingyan had a faint smile on his face as he leisurely scooped a spoonful of the watermelon's heart and held it to my lips. Open your mouth. I numbly opened my mouth and numbly swallowed it. He pulled me closer into his arms and, still smiling, asked, Princess Consort, where am I impotent? I was terrified and instinctively responded, Prince Regent, you are potent everywhere. He seemed very satisfied and fed me another spoonful of watermelon. After I chewed a few times, he held his hand to my lips. Trembling, I spat the watermelon seeds into his palm. Then, I watched as he gracefully wiped the moisture off his hand with a pristine white cloth. His fingers were long and beautiful. The way he wiped his hands was eerily similar to how an executioner would clean his blade before taking a life. My body was pressed tightly against his chest. I could feel the rise and fall of his breaths, each one growing heavier. I guessed that I was going to die soon. Time stretched on for what felt like an eternity. He remained silent, and the only sound in the stillness was the chirping of cicadas in the trees. Do not forget about the homecoming visit the day after tomorrow. These 2 nights, Gu Jingyan did not come to my room. But something was already going wrong in my past life. When my elder sister returned home after marriage, Gu Jingyan had not accompanied her. Somewhere, something had changed. His attitude toward me was unnervingly strange. And I had no idea how much of my conversation with Xiao Cui he had overheard. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Upon returning to the Xin residence, my elder sister and Zhang Rang had already arrived. My father and stepmother obviously already knew about our exchanged marriages, but they couldn't act on it at the moment. They could only suppress it. My elder sister secretly winked at me and bowed to me. "Greetings, elder sister." I took advantage of the situation and affectionately called her little sister. Although I had only not seen her for a few days, my elder sister looked much better now than before. Her complexion was rosy, her eyes glowed with warmth, and her demeanor now carried the charm and grace of a mature woman. I sneaked a glance at Zhang Rang, my husband in my past life. He was gazing at my elder sister with a smile in his eyes, his gaze practically glued to her. That was a look I would never have seen in my past life. A faint sense of sorrow flickered through me. I really was inferior to my elder sister in every way. Men all liked women like my elder sister, who were quiet and elegant. I let out a sigh and turned my head, only to find Gu Jingyan staring at me, his expression displeased. Frightened, I dared not look at Zhang Rang again. Later, father had tea with his 2 sons-in-law, while my elder sister and I followed my stepmother to the inner hall, where we were severely scolded. My elder sister stepped in front of me and took all the blame upon herself. Wan Xing knew nothing. Everything was my arrangement. In any case, what is done is done. My husband treats me very well, and I am truly fond of him. Though his background is humble, he is well-read, with an elegant and unyielding character. He is a rare gentleman in this world. I was utterly bewildered. That pedantic and rigid Zhang Rang was actually so good in her heart? My stepmother was so furious that her face turned green. She had originally wanted to lash out at me, but since I was now the princess consort of the regent prince, she had no choice but to swallow her anger. After lunch, I eagerly ran to the pavilion to find my elder sister. Just as I reached the wisteria trellis, I saw that scoundrel Zhang Rang was there as well.
Follow and subscribe for Chapter 2.